You look at a lot of the innovations throughout history. Yeah, we've got some big innovations that came from big organisations like the government. You know, we got like the internet, we got you know, nuclear energy. These came from governmental developments. So you can't discount big R&D. But a lot of the stuff actually came from small guys in their garages, in their basements. Look at Apple Computer, started by Steve Jobs, essentially in his garage. Now this multi-million-dollar company. It's very foolish to discount entrepreneurs and one guy with an idea in his basement, because that's where all the really exciting stuff happens.
I always describe myself as a solution looking for a problem. In the case of wind turbines, I see a system that's not optimal. We could have wind turbines on every farm in Saskatchewan, and there is no technical reason why we can't, and it does so much good for the grid and for the individual that buys them. Why aren't they there? So I'm the kind of guy, if it's something's wrong and I can get my teeth sunk into it, I'm going to take it on. So that's what I did with wind. I think it comes down to something that's tangible, something that's mechanical, something that can actually do something, like a product. It's something that's material. If you get into, like, say, philosophy, or you get into law, you're dealing with people. People are hard to fix. People are hard to understand. It's a lot easier to understand how a car works, I think, than how a person works. It's interesting how things flip-flop like that. Like, get good at the engineering so you can start a business, and then you have to start understanding people anyway. But, you know, with many decades of doing engineering and working and stuff, I've come a long way. My dad and I used to watch the documentaries on TV about military history, and I've read a lot of books on it. It's just, it's always something about conflict. It's like hockey, military history. It's like, how does the underdog overcome and win? Given a set of parameters, what choices would you make? And what is the effect of those choices down the road? So I guess it's a fascination with how things interact and decisions that occurred that could have went one way or another. I coached an Atom hockey team, 9 and 10-year-olds, and I picked the name Spartan Flyers for a good reason. Really, what is a Spartan? It's a highly trained, gutsy warrior, and that's what I wanted my team to be. Doesn't matter if they're bigger, doesn't matter if they're faster, we're going to outwork them every time. If somebody's going to beat us, they're going to have to earn it. And it's kind of like the Raum philosophy too, or the company philosophy. And my philosophy is, you know, we may not be perfect in everything, but we're going to work really hard, be creative, and do our best, and let the chips fall where they may. I mean, that's like life, right? I mean, every day you got to get up and fight those battles to come out on top. I'm a firm believer in the law of the lid. If the leadership of a company sets certain policies, certain work ethic, certain ways of doing things, the employees will follow. And I've always had a very open-minded, out-of-the-box thinking methodology. I'm a very good strategist. When I look at a company, I think I can see, I need this guy to do this, I need another person to do that. So not just designing wind turbines, we need to design a company that can design wind turbines. That's the whole goal of this company. And I think we've got the right staff to do that.
And it's sort of interesting because this guy, he didn't really come from that particular background. I mean, he was actually a communications engineer. He was into radio frequencies and electromagnetic interference and that sort of stuff. And so when he worked for Qualcomm in California, that's essentially what he was doing. He was designing chips that could interoperate as part of radio components. So that was his world. And then suddenly he came back to Saskatchewan and started up a company that did something almost entirely different. And I think we should really value people who can do that come to a field of study with a totally fresh mind, perhaps bring in elements of their old discipline, you know, thinking patterns from their old discipline, and apply them in a new format that really come up with the innovations that drive the economy.
A lot of inventions are just rearrangements of geometry or just thinking about a problem a different way. And one thing I've found in my life is that if I just look at a problem from a different angle, I can get some insights. And when I started Raum, I started hiring engineers and other people that aren't really specialists in wind turbines, but they're specialists in other areas. So if you take somebody in one area and move them sideways, they see the problem from another angle. It's part of my nature to share, look out for the other guy. I esteem others better than myself for the most part.
I think Daryl has big city smarts and small town values. We grew up in small town. We're a family-orientated group, community group. Because of that, I guess, he wanted to get back to that. It's sort of the closeness that, you know, I think prairie people in general tend to have.
I think small town upbringings are very important for developing products, because there's got to be a practicality aspect of it. We don't want to be in the point where it's just theoretical or scientific. There's got to be something practical, and it's got to be easy for the run-of-the-mill person to understand. Saskatchewan farmers are very resourceful, they're very independent, and they love the kit, the wind turbine kit. Our products were designed so that anyone, and I mean anyone, could come up in a half-ton, throw it in the back of their half-ton, and empower themselves right from the get-go.
I was really impressed how easily and slick that it went up. The gin pole concept and my tractor pulling that up, it was a very, very simple process. I'm sure you could have probably put it up with a half-ton. As an educator in Saskatchewan, I've educated a lot of kids, and I see a lot of those kids leave our province. And Daryl obviously was somebody that was educated here, and to me, it's an investment. He's now come back to make some investment into our future as a Saskatchewan person. And I think it's, you know, it's to his credit. I'm not sure what role Daryl played, but net metering was an issue in Saskatchewan. And as consumers, we've been pressing for that. And it's nice to see someone to come back to the province with the know-how, with the experience and the technology to come back and support us in that whole process. So I'm betting he was one of the stimulators to Sask Power, saying we need net metering to happen. Not just myself as a farmer, but an engineer that comes back with that experience and come back here and help us with that process.
The proof in our product being a global, world-class product is the amount of units we're shipping overseas. We've got stuff going to the US, Europe, interest in Africa. We've got 2 systems in the Caribbean. We are shipping all over the place, and we're getting emails galore from weird places in the world. It's got great application for African villages or European farms or North American sheds or wherever there's power required. It was actually based on some designs we saw in the 1930s, specifically the installations they used to do. I've seen pictures of them using ropes laid across tree trunks or tree branches and lifting it with their trucks. So using what they did and modernizing it into the 21st century is what the focus was.